Welcome to the midnight hour, where mystery reigns supreme, where hauntings happen on the regular, and where the supernatural is, well, natural. You've arrived just in time. Salutations, and happy Halloween! I'm gonna take this off because I'm gonna get really annoyed if I keep it on much longer. I wanted to do something fun and festive, but I also kind of needed to do an update video, so I'm combining the two pretty much, and you're gonna get a Halloween special / update video. Well, November is upon us, yes, starting tomorrow. And that makes it almost the end of fall. And I'm very excited for the holiday season, but I also very much enjoy fall. And actually, this is going to come off a little controversial, but throughout this month, as much as I love October, as much as I love Halloween, I kind of had an epiphany that I think I like November better. Yeah, I'm serious. I don't know, it just, there's something about November that gets really overlooked, and I'm always one to root for the underdog. And especially since Thanksgiving gets co-opted into Christmas. I love Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's actually my favorite holiday. And yes, I know the history is inaccurate. All the histories of all of our favorite holidays are basically inaccurate. So I love the principle behind it. I mean, it's a day to give thanks and to eat lots of amazing food. Anyways, I'm getting off track because what we're really here to talk about is what I've read so far in the fall. And I'll be pretty brief with this because I will do a fall wrap up at the end of November, but I just kind of wanted to like check in, mostly to hold myself accountable and just talk a little bit about the things that I've read. And if you hear whining, it's because my dog has been confined to her crate for the duration of this video, and she's not too happy about it. She's kennel trained though. She just would rather not be in there when we're out here. So, oh, you poor sad creature. So, in September, what did I read? Oh, I read My Sister the Serial Killer. I already did a video about that one. I read, or rather listened to, an Agatha Christie novel. So I looked up best Agatha Christie books and started with The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, which I think is like number 2 or 3 in the Hercule Poirot, I probably said that really wrong, series. I have seen Murder on the Orient Express movie, so I could have read that one, but I already know it, so I wanted to be surprised with one. And that was really good and really fun, so I will definitely be picking up more Agatha Christie in the future. And thanks to another booktuber, I found out that she has a Halloween-themed mystery novel called The Halloween Party, and I am definitely listening to that before, well, by the time this video comes out, hopefully I will have listened to it, but obviously I'm filming this in advance, so I have not listened to it yet, but I'm hoping to before Halloween. Okay, so very excited about that. Also listened to Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor, and I have some thoughts about that. The listening experience was, oh god, it was interesting, because it's very much a product of its time, that like early 2010s like supernatural urban fantasy, you know, the Twilight era. It was kind of riding on that, but it's like basically like angels and demons instead. And there's things I liked about it, but it was also pretty like gratuitous in the way that it described like emotions and attraction, and I just, oh god, some of it was so cringy. What else did I read? I'm gonna probably skip some things, but that's okay because this is more like a snapshot, whereas the fall wrap-up video will be more comprehensive. I read A Song of Wraiths and Ruin, video coming soon. I'll save my thoughts on that one for the video. An Enchantment of Ravens, I have a video for that one too that'll be coming soon. I have definite thoughts on that one, and my reaction is probably gonna make you wonder what it is, and I'll just tell you now, I really loved it, and I haven't enjoyed a book that much in a long time, so I'll share why in the video. And what else? Oh, Kingdom Keepers 3. You already know about that one if you've seen the video. If not, go check it out if you dare. Jeez, nothing scarier than that. I read a really cool indie book for Readsy Discovery. I do one of those almost every month. It was called Amethyst by Jesse Nolan. I'll put the cover up there so you can see because I can't remember right now, sorry. It was really, really good. I I don't want to sound pretentious, but I'm just saying it's really hit or miss with the quality of writing with these self-published books. Sometimes they have great concepts and great like imagination and like certain strengths that I really try to like focus on when I do my reviews, but a lot of times the writing is lacking in some way. This one was very solid writing, and it was just very refreshing. It was definitely a drink of water to have something that was just written well with very few grammatical errors. When you've read enough, you know, I'm trying not to be too hard on these self-published books. Like, I know what it's like. But yeah, it was about this creepy village. It kind of had like a Sleepy Hollow, I guess like weird cult village vibe, and this girl who's lived in the village for a while but isn't super into like their rituals, which is mostly revolves around this entity called the Amethyst that they all worship. Her brother has gone missing, and so she enlists the help of a detective from the city, kind of an Ichabod Crane vis-a-vis Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow character, to help her find him, and it just leads down this path of like, of course, like this village is just super creepy and lots of weird shit going on, and it was just a really chilling, fun read. So yeah, I am promoting an indie book. So that's pretty cool. And then I am currently reading Dead Mr. Mozart by Bernard Bastable. That's a pen name. I forgot what the guy's actual name is. That one's really good so far. Not so much Halloweenish as it is just like, it's kind of a Victorian-esque novel, and it's basically like what if Mozart never died and just like lived in London and happened to help solve a murder. And it's a really interesting concept, and I don't know what my full opinion of it is yet because I haven't finished it, but we'll see. It's pretty short, but for some reason it's taking me a while to get through. I don't know, I'm just weird. And then I just started This Dark Endeavor by Kenneth Opel, and so far so good. I mean, I'm only 2 chapters in, so I don't even know what to say about it yet, except that I gave this to my sister because she's a big fan of Kenneth Opel and the Airborne series. I still need to finish, and she read this in like 3 days, but she also said that she was bored and really wanted to get through it, and she had like things to say about it. We got into like a whole book discussion. It was super fun, but mostly she said that she didn't care as much about Frankenstein before, and now she cared more, and that she really enjoyed his writing style, but she generally enjoys his writing style. So I 2 chapters in, I'm already like interested in it and am more engaged with the characters than I expected, so we'll see if that plays out through the rest. I just thought it was really funny that like I did not expect her to read it in 3 days. Well, that concludes the updates portion of this little Halloween Spooktacular, which means I get to the weird stuff. Yes, I have a very special surprise for you, the viewer, and it is at my expense, so we're gonna have a very interesting time. I really wanted to do like a spooky story read aloud, but I didn't want to run into any copyright issues, you know, like it's always risky when you're reading somebody else's work on a YouTube channel without their permission, and I would try to get permission, but I didn't think ahead that far, and I didn't want to just take things off the internet, even like stuff that's like, I don't know, Creative Commons or public forum, you know, like those ghost stories just kind of bop around. I decided to throw myself under the bus instead, and I don't know if this is a noble move or a pretentious move. Maybe just me saying that demonstrates that this is pretentious. No, instead of trying to figure out what I can and can't read on here, I just decided I would read something of my own instead. But I have nothing recent that I felt was presentable, so I dug out a story that I wrote in high school, a short horror-ish story with a very interesting backstory. And it's short, it's like 1 page, probably like 500 words, so like a flash fiction piece. So it's gonna be very readable, and when I read through it last week, it was actually not bad, but I'm still probably gonna make fun of my high school writing. We're talking 10th grade, so I was about 16. This was my sophomore English class, and the teacher was the worst. Yeah, she really was, and she hated me. I don't even know why, and I'm being completely honest, I did nothing wrong in that class. Eventually I snapped and talked back to her, and she threw me out of the classroom. But I was standing up for a friend. No, true story. Maybe I'll tell the full story one day because it's a fun one, with names redacted, of course. But yeah, it was a really interesting year. So we had a unit, like I think it was like creative writing unit, but it happened to fall like around October, so it was all like horror themed. So we read a lot of Edgar Allan Poe and Ray Bradbury, and then we had an assignment where we had to write a short fiction piece both in Edgar Allan Poe style and Ray Bradbury style. And I was stoked because I am Miss Creative Writer and I liked both those authors. So I was so into it and probably spent more time than I should have writing these stories. Now this teacher, because she sucked, had very, very strict deadlines. Like if you were a minute late, she would give you a 0, like automatic 0. It was really unfair. So we were in the computer lab and we were supposed to like drag these files, our short story files, into like the server folder, you know how they did that in high school. And I couldn't get mine to work. I don't remember what happened, and I don't remember if I was like racing up to the bell, because I tended to do that with any writing project of a creative nature. But in any case, I didn't get it into the folder in time, or like maybe a minute late, and I pleaded with her. I was like, please, can I still turn these in? And she said no, 0. So here is my short story from high school in the style of Edgar Allan Poe that I got an F on. You can judge for yourself what grade it actually deserves. Oh gosh, I need a sip of wine for this. So this is the solo and fermata. If you couldn't tell I was an orchestra nerd in high school, you're about to know. It was not darkness alone, nor uncertainty alone, that disturbed me. It was rather the similitude of terror these two elements produced when combined that set me on the edge. I was never afraid of uncertainty as long as I could see it, nor was I ever afraid of darkness as long as I knew from whence I had come. But to be in the darkness, alone and uncertain, was my most dreaded fear. Was I surprised then when my fears had been realized? When I had met my grim fate in the catacombs of an ancient dungeon, far beneath the heat and life of the resplendent sun? I must admit that I was indeed more than a little surprised, with a sharp and startling sensation that was well within the realm of panic. Alright, not bad, 16-year-old Becca. I'll take it. It was as cold as a block of granite set out in the January frost. Cold as the tombstone for which that block of granite had been set out. It was as black as a raven's pupil, so endless and absolute that it permeated right into the depths of my soul. Raven, Edgar Allan Poe. I opened my eyes wider and wider, only to be met with a Sumerian nihility. You can tell I went right to thesaurus.com for these words because I have no idea what these mean. Sumerian nihility that encompassed all time and substance. As I came to grips with this absoluteness, I came to wonder, where had I been before, and what had I done to result in such a fate? The very absence of memory terrified me. My mind was as dark and void as the dungeon whose belly I now stood in, and to the mercy of both was I indebted. Oh, the passive voice in this man. As I realized that my worst fears had simultaneously come to pass, I had a sudden thought. I wonder, thought I, how long it will be before I go mad. As perturbing as this self-inquiry was, I did not hesitate to make a fervent avowal towards prolonging the presence of my rational mind for as long as I could manage. Thus decided, I began my search for something tangible, something that could cast away even the smallest sliver of the uncertainty which shrouded my mind like a glaucous fog? I think I know what that word means. It was at that moment that I heard it. I heard it, soft, subtle, at first barely audible, but there nonetheless, and my heart leapt within me with both hope and fear, for it was then that I knew something besides the darkness. For what I heard was the sweet mellow sound of a violin, echoing through the chasm like a beacon. One long note followed by another lower pitch, and then a round of fast slurred notes rising and falling in a flourish. It came from beyond me, and I was facing it head on. All at once I began to move, my arms reaching out before me with an anxious desperation that drove me forward. I only moved forward, for that seemed to be the direction from whence the sweet serenade had come. I shuffled on for what seemed the better part of an hour, and once I had broken from the trance which had urged me on, I realized that the music I had heard had grown neither louder nor nearer, nor had it grown softer and further. Strangely, it had stayed constant, as if neither of us had moved. I wondered at this anomaly, for an anomaly it surely was. Was this mysterious musician aware of my presence? Were they moving as I was? Flustered, I sought to outwit this strange menace, this taunting, plodding, haughty musician, he who was waving my glory in my face, for my prize was in his hands. Each steady note increased my frustration. It was there, somewhere in the darkness. I would find it. I must find it. I I pressed on. I quickened my pace. I felt even more desperately into the void. The music reached a passionate crescendo, and I could swear that for a moment it seemed nearer and not just louder. So on I went. The solo was repeating its chorus. It was louder, stronger, and I could feel that it was nearer. Take a break and take a sip. This is like Pit and the Pendulum fan fiction. I should probably hold it like out in front of me. I don't know if that's better or worse, but I'm changing tactics in the middle now. Perhaps the violinist was not moving just to provoke me. Perhaps he too was a lonely prisoner shut up in the darkness, moving onwards down an abysmal tunnel at a leisurely walking pace. Perhaps if I moved with a bit more haste, I could catch up. Perhaps if I walked alongside the strolling soloist, we could traverse the darkness together. It wouldn't hurt to have company. It wouldn't hurt. I stopped. I stopped dead and cold, tombstone granite cold. Ooh, way to harken back to your earlier metaphor. Because of what I did not expect to hear, or not hear. The music had stopped. It had stopped, but I had been so consumed in my thoughts I had not heard if the solo had ended or if a disturbance had caused it to stop mid-phrase. Or maybe it was a fermata, a prolonged period of rest, and I simply had to wait for the music to start up again. I stopped and I strained to listen. I held still for what felt like an eternity. The fermata went on unremittingly. No, I thought, it must start up again, it must! I began to walk again. I called into the darkness. I commanded it to play the music. I pleaded for it to produce a note. Just one solitary note was all I required, one remnant of that tangible thing which called me to seek after its source. All that answered was one solitary, sustained fermata, stretching onward into the darkness. Probably the shortest thing I've ever written in my life. I should give 16-year-old Becca a bit more credit. She was under a lot of duress. Bad English teacher, orchestra practice. Solid A- in my book, in my not too biased book. That was actually a really fun exercise as a writer to like try to write a story in the style of Edgar Allan Poe, master of American Gothic horror. It was heavily inspired by The Pit and the Pendulum and The Cask of Amontillado, and I just had a blast writing it. I thought it was super clever, and you know what? It's not bad for a high school piece. I mean, honestly, like I feel like I'm at least far removed enough to be able to look at it with a critical eye. Though some of those word choices, man. Wow. I think that if that didn't chill you to the bone, I don't know what will. But that's it. That is my Halloween Spooktacular. So next time you see me will actually be sooner than you think, because I'm actually going to be doing NaNoWriMo, and I'm going to actually vlog my NaNoWriMo experience. Yes, I am jumping on that bandwagon wholeheartedly. Not because I'm trying to do everything that everyone else is doing. I legitimately want to challenge myself and hold myself accountable and just test out the vlogging thing. I really don't like the idea of vlogging, but I just want to see how it works and like what it feels like. So yeah, that's going to be an interesting experiment for everyone. So until next time, keep it spooky, and comment below if you've reread your high school writing and whether it is as cringy as mine.